Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. Federal prosecutors in Brazil have asked the Supreme Court to include the right-wing former president, Jair Bolsonaro, in their investigation into what led to his supporters storming government buildings in Brasilia last Sunday. Mr. Bolsonaro has been in Florida since December and didn't take part in the inauguration ceremony of his successor. Our Americas editor, Leonardo Rocha, reports.
The statement by the Prosecutor General's office accuses Mr. Bolsonaro of inciting a crime by posting a video which questioned the legitimacy of last October's presidential election, won by the left-wing leader Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. The violence was carried out by thousands of radical Bolsonaro supporters who continue to claim that the election was rigged. They had been camping in and around the capital, Brasilia, for weeks, calling for a military coup. Many businessmen and officials are being investigated, including the former Justice Minister Anderson Torres, who's also in Florida and had a prison warrant issued against him earlier this week.
Ethiopia's rebel Oromo Liberation Army says it carried out an attack on a prison the authorities say led to the freeing of hundreds of inmates. At least 5 police officers were killed. Catherine Bayurahanga reports.
Mobile phone footage which circulated after the prison break shows a chaotic scene at night. The BBC has not been able to independently verify the video, but armed fighters wearing military uniform are seen walking around as inmates quickly gather their belongings. The voice of a man then congratulates the prisoners on being released by the Oromo Liberation Army. Fighting in Oromia has increased in the last few months, raising concerns about further instability in Ethiopia, despite a peace deal being signed to end the 2-year conflict in Tigray.
Russia's claiming a rare victory in what's become a war of attrition in Ukraine. It says it's finally captured the eastern salt mining town of Soledar, though Ukraine says fighting is continuing. A Ukrainian security researcher in Kharkiv, Maria Avdiva, told the BBC that Moscow was, in effect, using Soledar as a PR tool.
It's completely flattened because Russia is day after day attacking this small town. And for what? Just to get at least some success on the battlefield, to show something to the population in Russia. Because after humiliating defeats, Russia is trying to show at least some achievements. They need this victory, and that is why they're trying so hard to get this small town.
President Biden and the visiting Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida have said they strongly oppose any unilateral attempt to change the status quo by force anywhere in the world. After a meeting in the White House, they warned any Russian use of a nuclear weapon in Ukraine would be totally unjustifiable. BBC News. The Lebanese army says one of its patrols fired at an Israeli drone that had violated the country's airspace near the border. The incident happened when the patrol was investigating reports of an earlier drone infringement on the outskirts of the villages of Hola and Wadi Honin. Lebanese soldiers failed to hit the drone, and there were no reports of injuries or damage. An Iranian chess referee has been barred from arbitrating after wearing a T-shirt supporting women's rights in Iran at a tournament in Iceland. Shohreh Bayat was ordered by the Russian president of the International Chess Federation to change the Women Life Freedom shirt. She responded by replacing it with a yellow suit and blue blouse, the colours of the Ukrainian flag. The federation insisted that such activism by a chess arbiter was inappropriate and unprofessional. A gas pipeline connecting Lithuania and Latvia has been hit by an explosion, but the fire that broke out has been extinguished and gas supply is back to normal. Nemunas Binyas is the CEO of the pipeline's owners, Amber Grid. He gave the BBC this update.
As we know, at the moment, there are no injuries or no significant damages. We are working that our clients would not be affected by this explosion because we have parallel pipeline. Also, we have several inlet points towards Lithuania, so we might use gas from LNG terminal and from Poland also.
A French court has ordered a small town, La Flotte, to remove a statue of the Virgin Mary found to violate a law on the separation of church and state. The monument had originally stood in a private garden, but after being donated to the town, it was erected on municipal grounds. Its new location was challenged by a group that promotes France's secular traditions. BBC News.